When I walked in, I saw Geraldine Plunkett. I said, "Holy God, Dunboyne is over here with me." Because when Geraldine was in Dunboyne years and years ago, there were 250 people. So the people on the Reardons, they knew everybody, and we knew them all personally. They were they were nearly always like your Christmas dinner or whatever it was, and the honour that it gave, the village, we always make sure it was cleaned up. And when they go to Kilbride Church, you'd make sure everything was okay over there as well. And it's amazing how a camera crew coming out, and actors and actresses coming out, and Tom Hickey, before he became an actor, and God be good to him, they knew everybody in the place. And so when I come in, I see Geraldine when I walk in the door, I said, Mother of God, maybe I'm getting a little bit older than I thought I was. But I'm not. When you look at Geraldine, there's not a wrinkle. God forgive me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm the herbalist. It's strange what happens. Last Sunday I was in Kilscare, and they were opening a new community centre, and it's the Brian O'Higgins Club, and I was delighted to do it. And I walked in, and these two men say, "How are you, young Boylan?" I'm saying, "Young Boylan. How's that young son of yours getting on?" "Grand singer." "Yeah, grand lad." Then there's another chap came over to me, and I remembered it from New York, and he had a t-shirt on him, but he had the official bib as well. So when I stood up to talk, and I'm going to tell you the story about the two people. 1999, Meath won All Ireland. It's hard to believe it's 25 years ago, and we're at the opening of the Irish Cultural Centre in Cantona in Boston. And we arrived where we were playing Cork, and the All-Stars were playing against Cork as well. Brian Cody was looking after the All-Stars. So arrive up, and in America you have your tickets for everything. You get your ticket for going in, you get a ticket for your saucer, you get another one for your cup, and everything else. Everything's very formal. And I said, "Meath team." "I'm sorry, sir. The Meath team are gone in." I said, No, they're here on the bus with me." "I'm sorry, sir. I don't want to disappoint you," but he said, "The Meath team are gone in." So I said, "I'll tell you what, we'll park the bus over there. Give us 15 or 20 minutes, and if you want us, we'll go in. If not, we'll head into Boston." So Charlie McGettigan was there. His son was being honoured as well. He'd been killed in the building of the place. It was terribly fell out. It was a scaffolding accident. Anyhow, guy comes over. He said, "Mr. Boylan," he said, "you can bring the Meath team in." So we go in. We play the match. We had a great day, and it was great. It was lovely to meet sort of people from home and so on. And the following January, I was at a dinner in New York, a Meath Association dinner, and I was asked to say a few words. And I started to tell the story about what happened in Cantona. And I could see lads, and they were beginning to get hot around the collar and the flushing up and so on. And then it dawned on me. The Meath team in New York hired a bus, 220 miles, Meath shirt, key pack on it. All the boys loaded when they got as far as the entrance. Went to the guys, "Meath team, okay boys, all in, $40 in 1999. So this is the guy that's making sure I don't do something wrong down in Kilscare last Sunday, right? And the other two guys, on the eve of Paddy's Day every year, the Knights of St. Patrick in New York have a luncheon. A luncheon is something similar to this, good fun, great to meet people and so on. And everybody who's involved, they're all there. And this particular year, Shawnee was one of the people who were singing, and he's one of her sons, and Deborah Keller and another girl, Sarah, can't think of her second name. So that was fine. It was a great honour for him. He was delighted. He had a great time. But when everything was over, these Americans came over to Shawnee and they said, "Shawnee, do you mind me asking you, are you royalty?" "No," he said, "I'm not royalty." "Hold on here now. Get rid of that Irish shyness. Are you royalty?" He said, "I'm not royalty." And he said, I'm just a singer. And well, tell us, why is it when everybody else gets up and they're asked to sing or they're asked to play, it's very, very polite, and you get up And there's a crowd of guys down there, come on the Royals, come on the Royals. And the two Tunney lads who were the leaders of it, because it's Kids Skiers, their home club, they come home for the opening of the new centre and couldn't wait to get home and meet all their pals from the time they were, before they ever went out to New York. It's a huge honour to be here. I was telling Kieran and Pádraig and Mick about one of the first times we were in this room. It was 1984. Meath were after winning the Centenary Cup, it was against Monaghan. So Geraldine asked me to remind her of it. And so it was lovely. Lord Henry invited the team here, and we had a wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening. And outside on the lawn, which is where all the concerts are held, there was a football match. And there were lads from Colin, and there were lads from Slane. And they were reenacting the original game, the Cade, as they call it. And they had this bladder, pig's bladder, and they had all sorts of stuff wrapped around it. And there was 25 aside. How long was the game? Last man standing. That's the way it was. So we didn't reenact it, but we talked about it and so on. But a really interesting thing over the years, and maybe on a Saturday morning before a concert here, going back as far as Bruce Springsteen, we were coming in from Laytown. And all we had to do was pull up. And all the team always got in for nothing to all the concerts. So I was at the Rolling Stones, I was at the whole lot. And it was, they're amazing, the little things that mean a lot to you from your home place or from your hometown or from your home county. And that's the one thing I would say about the Mount Charles family, that they have been very, very much part of this community for an awful long time. They built a grey road into Dublin, straight as a die as well, which is very, very important. Now, when I was asked to be involved in Age Ireland a few years ago, I truly said I was honoured. And I was honoured because sometimes you don't realise that you're getting a bit older. I was reminded of the other day, a friend of mine, himself and his wife, went out to Australia to see their son. He just got a consultancy in Melbourne. And the mother got sick, and it turned out that she had stage 4 cancer. And she wanted to come home, she wanted to go to Belfast. And the son said to her, she rang another son's doctor at home. He said, don't you think that the minute you get off the plane in Dublin that you're going to go straight into the Mater Hospital in Belfast, because you won't be taken in for ages. And she had her treatment out there. But her husband, who had the greatest mind I've ever knew, wonderful footballer, 3 All-Ireland medals, he had an extraordinary mind. He got disoriented. And that disorientation never left him. And he's still puzzled because there's a blank spot. And the first time I experienced that was with Jack Lynch, God be good to him. He was after having a stroke. And people said, his mind was gone. No, it wasn't. There were 2 months in that period that he had the stroke, that he could never remember anything that happened within that time. And that's the thing that puzzled me. He'd call out every Wednesday, and we'd sit down and we'd chat, and he'd meet up with people just trying to get a link into where that event happened, or what happened, or how did always would have been in control. And so my friend the other day, Sean, I couldn't believe it. Delighted to see him. And he was as happy as the day is long. And Conor Myler won't mind me using this. Conor Myler came in from Tyrone. And Conor, well, he'd be no angel. He'd be very much like a Meath footballer of old, do you understand? And Conor, captain Tyrone, when they won the All-Ireland a few years ago. And suddenly when this man met him, his eyes lit up. It started to bring back that he was a footballer. And he wasn't just an ordinary footballer. And there are strange things that can have an effect on you. And I know when I got the COVID and I lost 10 kilo in 6 days, I was absolutely terrified. I was home, I was afraid to get out of bed, I was afraid to do anything. And the doctor, a friend, rang and said, what are you doing in the bed? I said, look, we have 6 kids and Tina's here. You're the safest man in the place. But I couldn't get it into my head. So for the first time in my life, I experienced fear. First time in my life, I had no ambition. I didn't know where I was going to do, what I was going to do. Is this what I'm going to put on Tina, who's 18 years younger than me? And I'd walk around the fields, And one day Liam Keane came in, a friend of Mick's, his solicitor. And we had a chat. And Liam would have sat maybe 10 metres away from me. It was amazing with COVID. But of course, because COVID was a vascular virus, that's why you get tired. Anyhow, I'm saying that because I went around the fields and so on, and then I came back and I said, Tina said to me, Sean, she said, even the kids are saying, you're short, you're snappy, you're everything you never were. And so I said, Tina, I know you're right, I can't help it. And I went round the fields again, I came back into the garden where we had herbs growing, and I said, if somebody came in to you, what would you say? Sean, you're daft. You're a stupid idiot. Back in 2009, I had a testosterone-driven cancer. And my testosterone had to be suppressed. Joints dislocated and all that. Didn't worry about that. I knew it was a case for radiotherapy. And because I'm a herbalist, people say, why would you have radiotherapy? I don't know anything more natural than the sun. That's all I can tell you. And I was thankful. But when my knees dislocated and I had the operations and I was back in action, I was flying. But the mind is such an extraordinarily powerful thing. When I got the COVID, which is a vascular virus, and I came home, my body was missing the testosterone. And without made up a herbal mixture. And 3.5 hours later, suddenly the humour came back. And I was in clover. And I got a dip about 6 months ago. And I was in Ashburn on a Thursday morning. I was going to renew my gun licence. And I went into Sean Conway's, had the photograph taken, nice picture, but it wouldn't print. And so I had to wait till Rose came in and they said, come back in about an hour. And I went across the car park in the church. And I should have gone for a bowl of soup because I was hungry. And I said, don't know what it was. I quit the church. And I went inside the door and there's a statue of St. Anthony. And I put my hand in my pocket and all I had, as it turned out, was a £50 note. And I put it in and I lit a candle. I said, will you do me a favour? Will you give me back my humour? And from that good day to this, I haven't looked back. One was herbs, the other was St. Anthony, right? When we were talking before in Fairy House, we talked about a few simple things that I would do. Every morning on my cereal, I would put a pinch of cinnamon. I would just put, a level teaspoonful, not just an egg spoon, not a teaspoon. And I would put it on the cereal. And the reason for that is very simple. The cinnamon gets rid of the free radicals in your bloodstream. It helps to absorb them. So your clarity is better. Every day outside, I take a leaf of sage, I chew it. And I remember being at a World Medicinal Planning Conference in Mendoza in the Argentine, and Peter Hodges of Chelsea College and Peter Houghton from Kew University, they started talking about the value of sage. And the people that I brought, 3 people with me, said, you're always talking about it. The salvia officinalis, that salvia officinalis, that is, it doesn't get its name except through, it's an old English word, a sage person, a wise person. But it helps to increase the circulation through the little capillaries or thread veins that take the oxygen to your brain. It's a simple thing. You can have it growing just 1 leaf a day. And that's all you need to take. But there's simple things that I would do, and I would have always, ever since then. Another thing would be, during the summer, at lunchtime, a small piece of smoked salmon, small piece of broccoli, a few fresh walnuts, and a quarter pound of grapes. And you know the way, if you have been tired or you have been sick and you have your lunch, you're nearly falling asleep after you have it. But when I took that, whatever's in the smoked salmon, the piece of broccoli, a few fresh walnuts, and the grapes, a quarter pound of grapes. Now, some people don't like grapes, but they might like a small glass of red wine, okay? But when I would take that, no tiredness in the afternoon. And there's simple things that we can do. And the simple things, you're not going against medicine, you're not going against blood thinners, there are very simple things. They're not gross amounts. Simple things that help to bring clarity. And when you're dealing with some of the things, like when I was first brought onto a World Health Organization body, it was 1979. And I'm in Christ the King College in Cambridge. And Professor Hayward from the WHO brought me on. And there are 2 people from 27 different countries dealing with the values on the extracts from medicinal plants. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, because I have no degree, in the name of it, what am I doing sitting here? And a man called Konrad Gorinsky, professor of medicine at St. Bartholomew's in London, he got up and he spoke about when he was a young physician He went out to work on the missions, and he went out to work in the Amazon basin with the pygmies, the little people. And he went out there and he was fascinated by them. He was fascinated when he saw one day they killed a crocodile. And they pulled him in, and they had an arrow for a bow and arrow. And they dipped the arrow in the crocodile's liver, and they shot a deer. And he thought this was terrible. They shot several of them. And they culled the deer, cut the horns off. Because the deer normally, November is the deer when November is the month when the deer shed their horns, but they interlock and the greatest survive. But they wanted to develop a big crop. So the really interesting thing about it was, three quarters of an hour later, after the deer had been shot, the deer stands up and walks away. How in the name of God? He was just fascinated with this. He said, "My God, how did the people know that what was in a crocodile's liver, administered through a bow and arrow, with a deer, would act like the way anesthesia works? How did they know that?" He didn't know. Then he went on to study things like quinine and curare, and the monographs written 50 years before Christ. And they're the important things. And he said we owe more to our heritage than to walk away from it. And that was the first time I ever spoke after that. And I was on that board for 40 years. Never stopped talking about the herbs after that. But I'm talking about because there are simple things that can make a huge difference to your life. And I remember the Association of Irish Motor Traders, retired members, they have a function every couple of months. And they come together. And Gary O'Toole was asked to speak. Gary was a wonderful swimmer, was a great orthopaedic doctor, great orthopaedic surgeon. And Gary asked me would I go with him. I would have known him for years when he was in university in America. And Gary asked me to talk about exercise I would do with people who were getting old. And I had a bit of crack with them and so on. And then Gary spoke. And he talked about when he finished up in America and he came back to further studies into orthopaedics. There was a conference down in Galway. And he got a loan of his mother and father's car. And they drove down, and the conference went great, and he came home. Monday morning came, couldn't find the keys. Tuesday came, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There was only one car in the house. 2.5 weeks later, he found the keys. And he turned to the people from the Association of Irish Motor Traders, retired. Most of them were in their 80s, and some was 90 years of age. And he said, if that happened to any one of you, people would say, you get a bit of dementia. Maybe it's a touch of Alzheimer's you're getting. He said, do you know what happened? I forgot. Now, when you get older, you do forget. So write it down. And write it down. And remind yourself every day that this is something you have to read and follow that. And you'll find that will make an enormous difference to your life. Thanks very much for having me. Thank you.